My breakfast.
Delicious.
It sounds like it.
Is it green?
Sounds like we're missing out.
No, it's chocolate goodness with protein in it. It's what I'll have for breakfast this morning. 6:30 is perfect so I can get to work on time. But it's also
I thought we were taking Mondays off, Kyle. What happened to that?
Airplane money.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to work the whole day. So my guys are going to go to the airport and I'll meet them there. And then around 1 o'clock, I'm leaving because I'm going to the chiropractor.
Cool.
I got to come forward.
That's nice. I wish I could see my chiropractor today. I'm dying. Yeah, I forgot to start blocking out Mondays, and I think my next one's like September 19th.
Yeah, that's
like forever far away.
If you looked in my calendar on my phone, which it actually says PNS Monday visit distributors, and I had that planned, and then I got a phone call. Hey, we got a plane leaving.
Right.
Need it done by the 28th. And I'm like,
oh my goodness.
I've been asking you guys to let me know when they need to be done.
That's funny. There's just not enough days in the week. That's for sure.
No, well, that's why I've been getting up early and going to the gym. Actually, that's been the best thing I've ever done because I have all that time after work now to be with my family.
Yeah. I need to start doing that. I need to get up. Well, it's been hard since I have to start at 8, but once school starts, I'm going to start going back to the gym and doing the hydro bed every morning.
Yeah.
I just haven't had time because I've got to be home by 7:30. So I can't get up that early.
4:30 in the morning comes quick.
You guys have no idea how much my coffee habit affects my personal time because it's a 35-minute commitment every morning.
Well, I've seen the drive from your house to Milton and back. Even if you're hauling butt.
Yeah. I mean, it is my time to wake up, but
Chris, did it rain where you're at today?
Yeah, it did. Go figure. I had the news on this morning, and hey, what happened? Oh, there we go. Had the news on this morning, and of course they're complaining that it's raining. It's like
they're never happy.
The first time it's rained in 6 months.
We should be praying for rain.
We need 3 weeks of rain, but and they're getting a ton of rain in Arizona. They got flash floods everywhere.
Oh wow.
But we had really loud thunder last night. It shook the whole house.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't get that.
Boise normally has thunderstorms all July. It's that's very normal. We have, it'll be super nice during the day, and then we have these massive thunderstorms at night. We haven't had none. I don't know if it's just been too hot, because normally it's like when it cools down, all of a sudden, it'll cause thunderstorms. But I mean, we've had none, which is so weird. And it's good because they'd start massive fires, but it's just weird. The weather's so different this year.
And I can't find my AirPods.
Uh-oh.
I had them Saturday. Friday night, I took the girls down to my parents to swim. I came home, they were here. I took them somewhere, and I cannot find them.
Well, and the Find My iPod situation is absolutely a joke, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get one of those Apple tiles or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
And attach it to it. But I've never lost them before, and I know they're here in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
I gotta buy
Tristan loses his all the time.
Or I'm going to buy another pair. I can't live without them.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully this works because my whole system just froze up.
Oh, no.
It's because I rendered that video you sent me.
Oh, whoops. Sorry.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, so nothing nothing's live for me right now, unfortunately.
Oh, it says we're live. I can look and see what it
The
looks
countdown
like.
just stopped.
The countdown did stop.
Okay, yeah, I've lost full control. I've got nothing. It's completely locked up.
Let's see.
This stuff works so good. Well, guys, you're good to go. I'll figure this out.
Can everybody hear us? They can't see our video, but there we go. Oh, woo. Good morning, everybody.
That was crazy. It went from like 34
that
seconds
was.
to on. Here we go.
Yep.
Are we good, Chris?
All right.
Looks like
I guess we're better now.
Awesome.
We're
Ryan
better.
says we have volume. We're good.
Ooh, I like your shirt today, Chris.
What's on it?
Oh,
is it that BMW?
No, this is an Audi Group B race car.
Oh, okay.
Looks like a rally racer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So
rally racing is cool.
Yep.
I grew up
lots of power. Lots of crazy turbos. Lots of turbo lag from back then because that's the 80s.
Everyone's saying good morning in the chat. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Obviously, unfortunately, we're not in Seattle anymore, Chris.
No.
And I think it took all week last week to recover from the previous week of Air Force One. So
I'm still recovering.
The fallout of being away was a lot to handle.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us from Massachusetts. I love it. Thanks for sharing where you're at.
Yeah.
We kind of get to know people's names and where they're jumping on. Hey, Scott, how are you? We know where you're at.
Real quick, I got to kick William Lara off the stream. He can't watch anymore.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
how come?
William, you don't say anything inappropriate today. It's time for you to grow up.
Oh,
he said he loves Kyle more than Chris.
Oh.
But he spelled some words wrong.
Well, I do too, but that's just because William is William. So, Bead Maker and Coffee. This Bead Maker and Coffee is brought to you by Bead Maker.
Yeah.
And man, we used a lot of it 2 weeks ago in Seattle. Kind of wanted to do a wrap up of that later. But what Sydney and I are going to do is we're going to start with what we detailed this past week and talk about the products we used during our details. And then we'll get into our questions. So go ahead, Sydney, take it away.
Yeah. So last week was not a crazy bad week for me. I got to do a couple coatings and that was fun. I always, of course, love working with Legend, but on, I think it was probably Thursday, I had a newer 2020 Forerunner, and it was a TRD package. And so it was in great shape. And what I learned is, so on the last Bead Maker and Coffee, we released Undressed, which we're going to talk about that product here in just a second. So I'm not going to expand on that too much, but we released Undressed, which is our tire prep. So you're going to use this when the tire's super dirty or it has lots of old buildup on it from tire dressings, if it has UV damage, things like that, browning. So anyway, what I thought was cool was, I've always thought P&S had a really great lineup of tire and wheel cleaners and then tire dressings. But what I realized is Undressed is such a great tool in your tool bag, if you will. I had this Forerunner and the wheels, and I think Chris is going to try to dial up the video for us, but the wheels were kind of that brass monkey gold. And the paint was bright red. And so the wheels themselves were in fantastic condition, literally perfect, hardly any dirt on them at all. And so they were really, really nice. I'm sure they were probably newer. But then the tires, which were the big, beefy, I don't remember if they were BFGs, but they were big, beefy tires. The tires themselves were really, really, really dirty. So in this case, I chose to use Brake Buster on the wheels rather than a harsh wheel cleaner. But then I used Undressed as my tire cleaner versus Brake Buster because the tires had some old dressing and just dirt kind of ground in, and they were brown. And so I did Brake Buster on the wheel, Undressed on the tire, and I made a quick video about it just because I love the versatility of being able to use the perfect product for that car specifically. not that I couldn't have done it with Brake Buster, but I think it went a lot faster and a lot easier for me in this case using the undressed. So it just kind of brought to my mind that, we get a lot of questions about how does this compare to Brake Buster? How does Iron Buster compare to Brake Buster? How does Knockoff compare to Brake Buster? And so what I think is cool is we have a really great lineup on, because there is so many different variables in wheels and tires. And so I love that I have them all at my use, and I may not use some as often as others, but it's really nice in cases like this when you kind of need that extra stripping ability on the tires to, get the job done a lot easier. So I thought it was really cool. So that was kind of my story, is I realized how, because in my mind, when Undressed came out, I kind of always pictured using Iron Buster as my wheel cleaner and then Undressed as my tire cleaner in those really dirty situations. But in this situation, the tire was dirty, but the wheel was perfect. So I wouldn't have wanted to use necessarily Iron Buster on those wheels because they just didn't need it. And so, I try to not use more of a chemical than I need to in certain situations.
So it like gives you the options, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You can go Brake Buster for maintenance for rim and tire and barrel and caliper. And when you need to be more aggressive, you can boost that and go to Undressed on the tire, or you can go to Iron Buster on the wheels. And it gives you those options to either maintain your personal vehicle as an enthusiast or for your customer, or when you really got to strip the tires and clean them, you undress them first. When we were in Seattle, we did a tire, really great video. They got a lot of views on our Instagram where we scrubbed the heck out of one of the tires on Air Force One, and then we dressed the left and the right tire with dynamic, and the tire looked so much better, cleaner. The dressing just really stood out on the tire.
It was a much smoother finish, wasn't it? Yeah.
And those tires have 18 years since Rennie started doing that project of tire dressing. They dress them every year. Then those tires were sitting in the sun at one time, or now they're sitting just getting dusty every day. And all that tire dressing has built up into like a film, and we got to strip it off. And that's the whole point. Get the old tire dressing off. If you do that, you'll have better results. Tires will look better. You're not going to have the sling problem because it's not sitting on the tire. It's actually bonding to the tire and giving a really clean look.
Yeah. And real quick, William asked, does it come in pints? I'm assuming he's talking about Undressed. And as far as I know, the answer is no. I don't believe that there is going to be coming in pints. And I think mainly once you use the product, you kind of use a lot. And for me, it is dilutable. But in my opinion, if I'm going to go to Undressed, I want it to be full strength because I just want to get the job done. And you'd go through a lot. You'd go through the pint wouldn't last you very many cars. So I don't see it coming out in a pint. Maybe more.
To go the route of pints, from what I've learned from headquarters, it's a lot of work, and we choose to go to pints just for products that should be in pints that are lower use. You're gonna get a lot of use out of Bead Maker in a pint, a lot of use out of True View in a pint, a lot of use out of Dynamic in a pint. But like Sydney says, you're going to use a lot more of Undressed. I did an RV.
Because you're soaking that tire,
Yeah. I did an RV last week with Undressed. We did all 4 tires on this RV, and we used, half of a 32-ounce bottle. We would have been, already through a pint. So we're going to keep it in the gallons, the 5 gallons. And the reason why you're probably wondering where is Undressed and why don't our distributors have it is a lot of them have ordered it. It should be coming in soon to them because around the same time that we released it is when we were already filling gallons. The 5s were already filled, and we were waiting on the labels for the 32-ounce bottles. So all of that is in. If you're a distributor and you're listening, or if you are one of those that likes to bug your distributor, let them know, hey, I want to get Undressed because it's available through PNS now.
Just be careful how you say that.
Hey, I mean, I played with my employees a little bit this last week, saying, "Hey, dude, go ahead and get undressed and start cleaning those tires." And they were like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Go get the undressed," and they're like, "Okay, that's what I thought you meant, but it just came off wrong." That's kind of the point. You're never gonna forget this product, right? You're always gonna put a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Sydney, you ready for your video?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see how this works.
Guys.
Let's see how this works out.
Cool.
I'm gonna.
Oh, nice. There's music to it.
There we go.
There we go. It's a little choppy for some reason, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So watch once the browning starts running off the tires. That's the cool part. Look at that. And so this is before I rinse the tires. That's all just the runoff from the tires.
Those are such nice method wheels.
Yeah. And then look how the tire shine just lays flat. It looks perfect. It's just awesome. Awesome to do that.
I'll switch you back.
Look good. I can see why you wanted to be gentle on those wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, they're so nice. And right, I wouldn't want to take the risk of, using something too harsh on them. So the Brake Buster was perfect. And Brake Buster is perfect for most wheels. I would say like 1 out of 10 cars I might use Iron Buster on. So I just love that I have options. And I think that on those specific tires, I probably would have had to do them twice with Brake Buster to get all that browning off. I mean, you guys saw that runoff. That was crazy. Like they just ran with the brown stuff. And so that was the less I had to scrub, right? So yeah. I'm all about that. Are you there? Cool. So do you hear me?
Yep.
What do you work on last week, Kyle?
So last week, getting back into the groove, I had a lot of RVs to get done. And I'll tell you what, a time saver and something that just always keeps surprising me is when I use Bead Maker and a foam cannon, and I use the bead cannon method. It just speeds things up, and it's just, for me, it's been proven over and over again that I get great life out of it on RVs that are painted. Let me make sure we put that into context. They're fully painted, but I have people that I maintain their RVs quarterly, and it blows me away that the water is beading 3, 4, 5 months after I've done bead cannon on most of the RV. We do find like the top edges. We actually end up putting multiple layers of Bead Maker on when we go to dry the top edge and the front cap and the rear cap, because for some reason, no matter what you put on, those are the most worn areas, whether it's from bug cleaner or from the sun. But it just speeds the whole process up on a nice RV. So if you want to be able to wash and wax an RV and do it in like 2 hours flat, the bead cannon method that we talked about a few months ago and did a video on is just incredible. And you basically wash the RV, you rinse off your soap, you take Bead Maker and in a full strength Bead Maker, and then I use a cheap foam cannon. I use like the $20 foam cannon, not anything special for it. And you mist it across the whole thing once. You let it dwell for a minute, do it again. And then once you see that everything is beading correctly, lightly rinse it off and go ahead and dry it. And I'm not getting any streakiness, smudges. I just make sure it's fully rinsed afterwards. And there's something about the foam cannon that atomizes that Bead Maker and really just it makes it so smooth. Does it work on everything? No. It probably works on 75% of the painted RVs that I do, or on vehicles. There are those that just have a hard time taking Bead Maker, even if you're spraying it on in the first place. But it saves time.
Do you hit the wheels and everything on an RV?
So the tire. So that's why I want to make sure that the rims are clean already, and that there's no water puddled in there, because wherever water sits, Bead Maker won't, attach. And so I'll hit the aluminum wheels or painted or chrome wheels, the grill, the windows, the awnings, everything gets it. And it just makes it look super glossy.
Yep. Cool. So Dexter asked, where are you guys from? I'm assuming he means Kyle and I. And I am from Boise, Idaho.
I'm from Southern California, Dexter.
Yep.
And maybe you mean that for other people too. I think we've tried to start that last time.
Yep.
And get to know everyone. Where are you at, Dexter? We'll see.
The only Dexter I know is from Florida.
Maybe.
Yeah, he asked a while ago, so hopefully he's still here.
Yep.
Well, cool. Very cool. All right. So Robert says, good morning, PNS. Absolutely love the PNS products. I'm a DIY guy looking dilute brake buster 1 to 10.
I don't dilute brake buster. I use it full strength. The only time I ever do is if it's a wheel that is just so delicate and already, in great shape. Maybe it's like a high-end set of wheels. They're not very dirty. But even in that case, if I'm going to dilute brake buster at all and the wheels are that finicky that I'm concerned about it, I'm just going to use Pearl soap and use it when I foam the whole car.
Yep.
If I'm trying to be extra careful.
Yep.
But that's what I do.
Yep. And the only time I dilute it is if I'm using it in my IK foamer, my Pro 12. That's the only time I dilute it. And then I do it, 1 to 5, 1 to 7 at the most. And that tends to work fine at that strength in the foamer, just because the foam attaches and gives it time to dwell. I find if I am diluting it in a spray bottle, it just doesn't stick to the surface long enough to really, be very strong. And so, like Kyle said, unless I had a set of wheels that was super delicate, I probably wouldn't do that. So I would just use it full strength. Brake buster works great just at full strength. And it's really, there's very, very few instances that it would ever cause any harm. I think the only time which any wheel cleaner would be those super cheap, non-maintained black
powder coated wheels.
Yeah. Super, super cheap ones, which it wouldn't matter what you sprayed on those, it's going to ruin them. So
here's another reason why I use brake buster full strength. 99% of the time when I'm using brake buster, we've already pre-rinsed the wheel and tire. So there's already water on the surface, which is going to dilute it down a little bit. You're going to lower the cleaning ability down a little, but not 10 to 1. 10 to 1, you're just it's not going to do enough work for you. It's a safe product as it is. That you're going to really cut down the workability of it.
Yep. So Dexter followed up and said he's in North Carolina, and he said you guys need to come out here. So yes, we do. And so here's the deal, Dexter. I'm a huge fan of North Carolina, South Carolina. I love that whole area over there. That's actually, no, I went there on my honeymoon, and I'm a huge NASCAR fan. But fun fact, PNS did go to North Carolina. It was literally right before COVID, right?
Yeah.
They went to the Mustang Museum. Yeah. Right there near Charlotte. And so they were there. I didn't go on that trip. But if we ever go back to North Carolina, I'm signing up because I'm all about it. Love North Carolina.
Yeah, she'll make a whole anniversary trip with
Yeah. I love it back there. Love it. So I got to find a reason to go back. Cool. And then John's from Laramie. Yep. Paris, Kentucky. Awesome. All over the place. I bet we have more East Coast than we do West Coast. It's really early on the West Coast. Really, really early.
Yeah.
But I saw Nick Vecchio's here, and look, we've got Roger from Wyoming. But I did see Nick Vecchio at some point in there. He's kind of over here by us.
He's in Colorado. He's it's an hour difference there.
Are they central?
Roger Sandoval and John King work together.
Oh, okay.
So they're at Cowboy Detailing. I think I got the name of the company right.
Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, does anyone have any questions yet?
I know we're slow on questions this morning.
Slow on questions. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I had a question I was going to ask. Now I don't remember, but I do want to say, because this is exciting, is so Kyle, since it's Monday, what happens in 2 weeks from today on the next Bead Maker and Coffee?
So the reason we kind of did Bead Maker, we kind of skipped a little bit of a week. We did our special Bead Maker and Coffee, and then we did this week. It's because next Monday we're going to be live doing our Q&A from PNS headquarters together. Because it's the beginning of Monterey Car Week, and Team PNS and detailers from all over the country that are that have been selected to join a PNS are going to go and work on some really cool cars.
Yeah. Yep. We're super excited about that. So that Monday is our travel day. So Kyle and I are going in early for you guys so that we can do our Bead Maker and Coffee live from headquarters, which will be so exciting. I think it'll be our first one actually being together at the same place, won't it?
This style,
as far as Bead Maker and Coffee, I think so. That'll be fun.
We've done some stuff together before we really kind of took off doing this.
Yeah.
When we did one from your home last year.
Oh yeah.
But well, that was kind of when we were doing some giveaway stuff, which I'd like to get back into again.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see you there, Nick. Excited to hang out with you.
We're so excited. Yep. All right. So Scott says, so my employee asked me, what is some great advice you can give about interiors? Her name is Shy. Oh, interiors. So my best advice about interiors is, one, price them right. Right, Kyle? Price them right. That's number one. Don't kill yourself. And I think just looking back, I think if somebody could have told me years ago a few things about interiors, is one, don't kill your body. I've absolutely wrecked my body doing interiors. You really have to pay attention to form and, how you're bending over, things like that. It's just really, really important. I've absolutely wrecked my body doing interiors. And then second, a few things are just one of my favorite tools that I can't imagine. I actually tried to do an interior without it the other day, and I thought, how did I used to do this? Is just my air gun. I can't even imagine doing interiors without that. It speeds up my vacuum process so much. The air gun that I have is similar to a Tornador. It's not a Tornador, but I think it works exactly the same. And so that is probably my favorite tool, my air gun and my steamer. When I first started, I probably didn't use a steamer for the first 4 years. And I look back and go, how did I used to do that? I mean, it's such a time saver and it's such a better result. So I think it's one of the areas where I would say, make sure you have the right tools, because on interiors, you definitely want to work smarter than harder, because the harder leads to wrecking your body. And so I think that the investment in the right tools, and I'm not saying you need the top of the line tools. I definitely don't have the top of the line tools, but I think just having the right tools that help you get it done faster, rather than, I don't want to spend 8 hours doing an interior. I would be in tears. So I think that's my main advice is just, watch your form and then have the right tools to help you get done faster, because there's nothing worse. And then price them right. Because if they're going to be too much, it's not worth taking those trash piles for not much money. It's just not worth it in the end. It's not.
So I look at it like this. You have opportunity costs. And if you're going to do an interior, it has to be profitable for your shop and or your mobile business. If you can do an interior and make the same amount of money you would make doing a wash, clay, polish, or a ceramic coating, that's where you want to be. But don't kill yourself to do an interior when you're going to lose money. So a couple things I recently started doing this year is I don't do an interior unless we're doing at least a basic exterior. I will do exteriors on their own, but I'm not doing interiors alone anymore, because usually the people that contact me and want just an interior and they don't want to protect the outside of their car at all, I don't want to do their cars because they're thrashed. They're terrible. Second thing is, it's never what you do that people notice. It's the things you miss they will notice. You can go above and beyond and clean the worst stain ever. You can take the tiniest little picks and clean the cracks and crevices and clean the rubber trim and all those things. They will always find something. And so it's really important to communicate with the customer and find out what bugs them, so you address that.
Yeah.
I've had someone before where we literally cleaned everything. We cleaned the foot pedals, and they were upset because the pedals looked dry. And I'm like, well, we don't dress,
we just want to keep you alive.
Yeah. And so I had to figure out a way of making them happy where I literally dressed them and then rubbed off all the dressing to fix that. But I didn't realize that's something that they bugged them. So it's never what you do that people notice. It's what you don't do that notices, that they notice. And make a profit doing interiors. Don't lose money to clean someone else's filth. I just don't find joy in doing them anymore. I'm happy to do them, but I got to make the right profit to be worth it. It's business.
Yeah.
So hopefully she understands that a little bit for you as she's your employee.
Yeah.
So she knows she has to get it done in the right amount of time.
Yeah.
And help make your shop profitable as it should be.
Yep. Stay up on your ab workout. All right. So hi from the UK. Recently bought some Bead Maker the first time. Normally finish my wash cycle with a spray on wax. Can I apply Bead Maker over the spray on wax, or is that unnecessary?
I think it's unnecessary to use anything but Bead Maker. And the reason why is I don't know what wax you're describing.
Yeah, typically spray-on waxes are only going to last a very, very short time. I mean, they're really meant to be like a 1-2 wash type deal. And like Kyle said, it probably depends on what spray wax you're using, but most that I'm familiar with are very short term.
Bead Maker also doesn't, on some vehicles or some other, you're mixing polymers and protectants and carnauba and sealants. Sometimes you're going to have some streaking issues if you have something else there. So what I recommend, if you're going to do a wash and you're going to protect someone's vehicle, use Bead Maker as your drying aid.
Yeah.
If you're going for extra protection, maybe you would dry it and then use paint prep to clean the surface and then Bead Maker. You're going to get better results that way. Bead Maker is going to last longer.
Yep.
Because the Bead Maker will bond to the clear coat better. There's nothing there, no waxes, oils. It's kind of like prepping it for a coating. And if you're going to do that, you might as well go ahead and pull out Sol, charge a little bit more, and give them some better protection, and go to a annual or more of an entry level ceramic coating like Sol. But yeah, Bead Maker, don't put it on top, or I don't recommend putting on top of other products that don't play well. And Bead Maker plays well with pretty much all the protectants from the P&S line. We do have a spray wax also called Spray It.
Spray It.
And it's very similar situation. I think if you mix Spray It and Bead Maker too often, you're going to run into some. How would you just? They're not going to play well together.
Yeah, they're just not. It's you're going to have some streaking, because when you put a coat of carnauba over the paint and you're trying to put Bead Maker on top of that, the Bead Maker can't always reach the paint. In some cases it can, because there's going to be varying, and so it's trying to bond with the paint, and the Bead Maker is just going to sit on top of the wax. And so if the wax is older and not just fresh, you're probably going to be fine. But if you're using spray wax as your drying aid and then trying to put Bead Maker on, you could potentially run into some issues. So I would just go ahead and eliminate the wax. It's far inferior to Bead Maker, and just switch to using Bead Maker as your drying aid. So try switching it up and see how you feel.
And we got some really good questions that just popped up all of a sudden.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. Okay. So Robert says, thank you guys. I'm using Brake Buster at full strength every time, and I do pre-rinse. How I would love to see P&S come to Connecticut.
Well, we'll tell Bob that we're gonna have to do a national tour, huh?
Yeah. Craig says, "What is the name of the tire dressing you are using?" This is a very loaded question because I could talk about dressings all day. So I'm gonna try to keep it short.
You guys opened up a Pandora's box there.
I know. I'm gonna keep it really short. I'm not gonna use the word favorite. So the ones that I use the most are, I love Odyssey. I use that one. I use Odyssey in a spray gun powered off of my, what's that thing called? Air compressor. Had a little mind blank there for a second. I love putting on tire dressing with air. It just leaves it a real nice finish. It's quick. I do all the fender wells and everything like that. The second one that I use the most is Dynamic. I love Dynamic just for its versatility. So if I have a car with a bunch of plastic molding, I use Dynamic. And then I also really love the Wipe and Shine. So I, again, like the tire and wheel cleaning, I have certain ones for certain types of vehicles. So if I'm doing a coating, almost 100% of the time I'm using Wipe and Shine because I don't want to spray anything, right? I don't want to spray anything. So I'm using Wipe and Shine. It also leaves a really nice, just really rich finish. If it's a truck with a bunch of fender wells and things like that I need to, make look nice, I always use Odyssey because it's faster. If I have a car with black wheels or dry wheels and a lot of plastic molding on the bottom, I do Dynamic. So I use all of them, love all of them. And I just have learned which situations I use which one in.
I have a preference for different things. Odyssey has kind of taken over where I used to use Shinol as more of my fleet or commercial accounts. I have different dealers that I use. The reason why it's more affordable, it leaves behind a great shine, and I'm not looking to impress anyone long term. I just want that wow factor when someone sees their vehicle. Dynamic is kind of my go-to for more of my maintenance on customers' cars. Say I'm looking to leave a really nice shine behind longer, and it's easier to get into the little grooves on big tires, mudders and stuff. I can get it up in there or get with a brush. And then, like Sydney says, Wipe and Shine. Wipe and Shine's kind of become my higher end dressing for vehicles that I just coated. It leaves behind a nice glow, but not crazy shiny. I usually use it on an applicator because if I'm using it, it's usually on more low profile tires. And I'm doing it in someone's garage. I'm not, I don't want to get it on the floor. So that's why I want to wipe it on. Or even one of the brushes like Sydney likes to use. So I kind of have like a category of 3 dressings. But I have a 4th. And we'll throw this at you, not for tires. I love using natural finish for interiors. Great shine. You can dilute it, but it's already a great dilution rate. And I love the smell. It has like a fresh leather scent. I don't know if it started to rain here, Chris. It's pouring outside now.
Wow.
Yeah. We need it.
That's wild.
Just let it happen all day. I don't care. Take us out of the drought. But yeah, that's my preference on all the great dressings that PNS has. And if you're a distributor, don't bring up old dressings. We'll get in trouble.
Yeah. And that's funny because actually I was telling Kyle this the other day. Delaney, my 15-year-old daughter that works for me, she was asking me. She was kind of grilling me about some products and about PNS, and she said, "What do you think PNS is their strongest category?" And actually, I said the dressing game is pretty strong. So that's a cool question. Okay, so do you guys like offering detailing packages? Also, if you do, when a vehicle comes in and the condition of the vehicle is hammered, how would you handle telling the customer you need to charge additional? So I'm gonna let Kyle take this one because he just had this talk with me this weekend.
I just schooled Sydney on this like 2 days ago, and I'm mind blown because Sydney is a great detailer, but I think she likes people more than I do, and so so this is how I think of it, and this is how Rennie Doyle taught me too. I have a good, better, best system. I choose as the detailer, as I'm going to be doing the work, your level of filth in my packages. So if I have my good or like new interior detail or express, or there's so many terms out there for it. Basically my $100 to $200 basic interior detail. Yeah, your car, I can tell you, yeah, your car looks fine. It has some crumbs. It has some smudges on the steering wheel, the armrest, and the shifter knob. But we're not removing stains. We're just fluffing up the carpet, cleaning it up, maybe doing a light leather cleaning. Now we go into the next level up, and it's dirtier. There's some light stains. There's more dirt grime. Maybe there's some sand. You're gonna do double the work, right? Instead of just using carpet bomber on the carpet, now you're using Terminator to spot stains. Now you're into my level 2, my better, system. I told you how much it is. You don't get to choose the cheaper price because you don't want to pay, because you don't qualify anymore. Doing the other service won't clean it for you. And then we have our holy crap, best dirt grime, soccer mom, crayons, gum, soda, coffee, best system, where it's so dirty that it's my premium detail. We're going to spot stains. We're going to agitate them probably mechanically with a brush on a drill or something like that, or a polisher. We're going to then let it dwell and use carpet bomber. Then we're going to mechanically clean that or brush it as well. We're going to steam clean or extract. We're going deeper into the carpet. We're using, instead of using express on your leather, we're going to EnviroClean because your leather's disgusting. That's how I do it. And so we talk to the customer, and no one wants to pay for $500-$600 for an interior. But I don't want to spend 5, 6, 7 hours on an interior for a vehicle that I'm only making $300 on, $400 on, when I can go and do sole and make $400 to $600 wash clay and do something else. Like I said, guys, there's an opportunity cost. The one thing I learned in college was about opportunity costs. And it stuck with me, and it served me well. If you guys can understand those things and learn that there's other things you can do to make money. So that's how I do that with interiors. You choose the condition, and you just got to set like a hard line in the sand. Okay, this car, there's stains. It's now my next level. If there's extra dirt and grime, it's gross. I don't want to do it. It's now my next level. Yeah. That's up to you guys. But I try and keep it simple, but also, and there is a weird place between a level 2 and 3 for people. And, if it's not quite thrashed, I kind of call it a level 2.1, and I'll raise the price a little bit, but I won't go necessarily all the way into the level 3. But man, soccer mom vans and Suburbans and minivans and even like fleet vehicles, I just don't want to do them unless I'm making a profit.
Yeah, they'll kill you. And I think the most important message there is that, if somebody's charging $150 to clean the interior of that van, let them do it. And like in my area, if I quote, $350 for an interior of a minivan, I guarantee you if they call another shop in Boise, they're quoting $450. So that's the thing you have to remember, is that any good detail shop that's going to do a really, really high quality job on that dirty van is going to be charging roughly the same as you. And so I think that's the same thing that has always held me back from charging what I'm supposed to be charging, is just being afraid to say the number. But you know what I should be afraid of is I should be afraid of my chiropractor bills and how much I spend on,
Exactly.
I mean, I have an entire back category on Amazon, like for, trying everything out there under the sun. So charge what it's worth, take the time, because then when you're not charging enough, you're rushing, and that's when you're making errors. So
it's funny. Well, Mike just said that he just got his first $500 interior last week, and that's awesome. Once you do that, right?
Yeah.
It's easy. Once once you've done it and you know, okay, what you can do, and you're going to blow people away.
Yep.
In my area, there are guys that are doing work in a different way. I don't use carpet extractors and leave, tons of moisture inside of the vehicle. I use steam. We're doing it in a different way, and I try and preface that to my customers. But, I get people all the time that contact me through church, and usually those people have vans, and those people are shocked when I give them a price. But I'm also shocked when I see how disgusting their vans are.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes I wonder, how does someone live in a vehicle like this? You're worried about wearing a mask, and I'm worrying about what's growing under your seat.
Exactly.
It's gross. So
exactly.
You kind of have to make people feel bad a little bit when their vehicle's really gross. Be like shocked, but don't like make them feel stupid. Just be like, look, did you look under here? Let me show you. You got to kind of point out why. You got to give them the reason why you charge what you charge. If you just throw a number out, people aren't going to do it. But if you can back it up with evidence and say, hey, there's an old hamburger here that's grown. I literally found hamburgers. I found mold. I found mushrooms growing under people's seats.
Yeah.
When you can tell them and show them those things, it makes them understand why you're charging that price.
I have found old sausage McMuffins.
Yep.
And there was this one minivan, and I know exactly because it was somebody from church, Kyle. And we filled up about a dozen 13-gallon garbage bags full of stuff before I could even get started on the car.
You brought that up. It kind of makes me think of back when I first started going mobile again after I served a mission for my church. I came home. First vehicle I did, I took the normal seats out, right? Like a Honda Odyssey, you unsnap them and pop them out. I went to the back of the vehicle and took a trash can and a rake, and I just raked. I literally, the little rakes that are like 4 or 5 inches wide, I raked it into to a massive trash can. And then I said, if there's toys in here, go ahead and get them out. I asked you guys to remove all your personal items first. It took me an hour and a half just to clean out the stuff so then I could start cleaning. Then it took me an hour and a half just to blow every nook and cranny out. And so that's where you're getting into $1,000 kind of interior detail. You guys can do that.
Yeah.
If it takes you 8 hours, product and time, and I have multiple employees and overhead, you got it all goes into your run rate. So, well, that's cool. There's some really cool side messages that have popped up.
Got a pine tree growing in the Mini Cooper.
So thanks, Mike.
That is funny. I've had,
I found some. I mean, we could do a whole different Q&A.
Oh,
the weird things we found in people's cars.
I know. I always say that I wish I would have written a book. I've been doing this for almost 9 years, and most of you guys know I live in a community, and a lot of my customers are from my community. And I so wish I would have written a book. I could have had a blast naming the people
from Hidden Springs.
Because I have just had some really nasty stuff. But the two that I had, and one I just refused to clean, there was a dead raccoon under a driver's seat, and I was like, nope, not doing that. And then I had a car. This is so gross. So there's always the person on Facebook that's like, I only feed my kids organic. We eat perfect. The whole weight loss coach and all that. So her car comes in, and the kids have only had all the stuff from Whole Foods, right? All the fruit strips, all the fruit snacks, all the granola bars, and they're all preservative free. Well, let me tell you about stuff that doesn't have preservatives in it. When you throw your kids all their cereal bars, the strawberry oat bars and stuff, all over the car, and you never clean it up, and there's no preservatives, guess what happens? It never dries out, and then maggots and flies and other black crawly creatures move in, and they infest your car seat, and you put your kids in the car seat every day. It's disgusting. Disgusting.
I didn't know that about natural foods.
I'm going to keep feeding my kids Oreos because no preservatives leads to it never dries out. So you literally have fresh food for fresh bugs to eat all the time.
And the reason why Sydney and I can tell you, we've been there. We've screwed up and we've charged not enough.
Yeah.
I've done that I've done that enough times that I finally said, Kyle, you're not doing this anymore. I've been mad at myself. I've lost money. I've wasted a whole day cleaning someone's car that really didn't care anyways. So that's why, we want you guys to not have to make those same mistakes. Yeah. And that you guys can shoot past where we are at that time. So here's a good question. Yep. Do you recommend using Bead Maker in 95 or 100 degree weather? I do it all the time, but there's a way to go about it. One, it's Jose Pena, right? Yeah. When you rinse a vehicle off, you dry it, I would go straight into it. When the panel is at its coolest point, and that may be only 80, 90 degrees, go for it. I also apply it directly to my microfiber towel, soak it, and then I have another towel ready to wipe right behind it. So it can be done. I prefer doing it in the shade when it's that hot out. So try and get it in a garage or under an easy up. You can also do, like I said, the bead cannon method keeps it cool the whole time. But you just got to practice it because you don't want to let Bead Maker sit and flash on the surface and get hot. You got to rinse it off. I also use spot-free water. So let me make sure that that's, said. I filter my water so I don't worry about spotting. And I'm in California, man. It's been hot as hell. It's been hot as hell everywhere right now. But usually we're used to that.
Yeah. And so I'm sure you guys hear me complain every week on Bead Maker and coffee, because literally this is like the third episode where it's still 100 degrees in Boise, right? So I've been dealing a lot with this lately. And you know what I feel like is really helping me, and I don't have any scientific background behind it, but what I do notice is I am using Bead Maker as my drying aid. So like Kyle said, I'm putting it on only when the car's wet. So the car's wet, I'm using Bead Maker. I actually use it with a clay mitt, and then I dry the vehicle. And then I do go back around with Bead Maker that I'm spraying on a towel and applying it after it already kind of has a fresh coat of Bead Maker, and I'm not having any trouble. So I think because it's got that fresh coat, I'm not having any streaking issues going back over. But the first coat is while the vehicle's wet. So that has been helping me in the last, I don't even know, it's been 6 weeks of 100 degrees now. So give that a shot too. Try that first kind of, layer like while it's wet. Yeah. And that's been working great for me. I've had no issues at all in the last 6 weeks of it being 100. All right. Anthony Aguilar says, I'm never eating natural food again. You can eat it. Just don't leave it on the floor of your car.
Honestly, just don't let your kids eat in your car.
Just, don't let the kids eat in the car, and don't let them, just vacuum. Just vacuum once in a while. Just vacuum. Okay. So Clint says, just bought Legend for my first ceramic coating and I can't wait to use it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Make sure you watch the installation video. And, the only thing that's not in the installation video, in case you haven't been watching, is our quick tip on removing Legend is every car's flash time is different. So what we have found is the best thing to do is your leveling towel, put it on the vehicle, like on the hood. I always start on the hood. So do a small section, because you're going to do a test spot on every single car that you put Legend on. And then you're going to take your leveling towel and you're going to put it down. And until that towel moves freely, it's not ready. So if it's starting to bunch at all, it's not ready. So you just keep testing. And when it moves freely, you're good to go. Pay attention to your time, because some are going to be 20 seconds. Some are going to be a minute and a half. So get your time down on your test spot, and then the rest of the vehicle is going to go fantastic.
And what I learned with Legend on a Suburban I did recently was I put a ton of Legend on, and then we were going and didn't put enough on the next time. And it actually left some streaks because I didn't have enough product. It was like, it wasn't enough there. So like the second door I did, I was like, hold on, why is this? My guys didn't, I asked them to put a couple drops on. Well, they literally put 2 drops on. I meant like 6, 8.
Yeah.
So we figured that out really quick. You got to make sure you have enough product on there so it flows on nice and even. Then you won't have any smudges or high spot problems, because literally there wasn't enough. So it was just like, you literally could see the microfibers and the applicator as you wiped. I'm like, okay, there's not enough flowing back onto the surface.
Yeah. Legend should lay down quite a bit thicker than, say, Inspiration. You want to make sure you're doing a good, full coverage and where you can actually see the coating, because it's much thicker. So, but have a great time. Feel free to reach out if you need any help. But you're gonna love it. Legend's awesome. Okay, Emmett says, I can't get Odyssey in Australia as far as I'm aware. You should be able to. I know that I have had that discussion with a couple of people in Australia about Odyssey. So here's my advice to you. Just contact that distributor there, which it's AU Car Care Co., right? Contact them and ask them to order it. That's the biggest thing with our distributors is most things, with the exception of a few things like water spot remover and a couple of the soaps and things, most things can go where we need them to. And so just always ask your distributor. If you want something, ask them.
Yeah, that should be a product that should be able to be shipped. There's nothing in it that is not be able to send. It's just, maybe it's not on their radar. And you know what, guys? Most of our fans on here and of PNS, not our fans, but of PNS on Instagram and Facebook, you guys know more than some of our distributors do, because they're so busy, they're not paying attention. And we try to send out an email weeks before we launch a product and so forth. But sometimes it takes their customers to request something for them to carry it, because maybe they don't know that you guys want it. And that'll be the case all the time.
So just ask. Just always ask your distributor, and if they can't get it for some reason, they'll let you know the reason why. But generally, that's what we're. It's going to take the customers of those distributors to bring in certain products. So, all right, Evan says, Kyle, what's up, brother? PNS best product isn't a product. Oh, it isn't a product. It's the customer service, knowledge, chemistry, and Bob and Dave. You are so right.
Thanks, Evan. I wonder who Evan J is. Is this from Pittsburgh?
Isn't there Evan Jankowski?
Yeah. If this is Evan Jankowski, what's up, dude? Long time no talk.
Yep. Let's see.
I spent hours working on Engine 4 of Air Force One. I remember when you spent days on that years ago.
Yep, Evan says, yeah, buddy. Okay, so Jeff says, how do you go about deciding when to upgrade a product? Any plans for a newer upgraded version of Bead Maker? So I think he means, when do we decide to upgrade a product at PNS?
We are always discussing this. The whole team has been discussing different upgrades for certain products. And one thing about Bead Maker is it does so well. We don't want to mess with Bead Maker. But we have discussed other products for future, because honestly, if you mess with Bead Maker, even if it made it a little bit better, we don't have problems with Bead Maker, just like Brake Buster. Bead Maker and Brake Buster are two of our most popular products. We don't want to fool with them. So we'll bring in something else that will complement the line, but not take over or remove the fans that already love those products. So we are always discussing new products. Hence, Undressed, one of the newest products, and it's actually, a great product. Our Bug Off's a great product as well. All we did was give it a new look. EnviroClean got a new look. Some of that is just giving you guys a fresh look at them, and maybe even bringing them in a different size option.
Yeah, and then there has been cases where a few products have been tweaked a little bit. The one that's coming to my mind is just Inspiration. And that product has been tweaked a few times since its original makeup. And that was just to, allow for it to be a better user experience, an easier wipe off. So there's a few things that sometimes get tweaked, but we don't usually say anything about it. It usually just happens and it rolls out, and people have a better experience. So, but yeah, Bead Maker won't be changed. In my feeling about Bead Maker, and I get a little bit mama bear when they start talking about, should we change Bead Maker? I'm like, no. Bead Maker's kind of, it's not anymore, but it kind of started a class of its own, right? And it is just such a fantastic product when, for what it's supposed to be used for, that, I'm all for stronger things, but I personally, as a user and a fan of Bead Maker, I would never want to see it changed, but it's fine if something else comes out that's, different.
Yeah. I mean, that was our total political answer.
Yeah.
The short answer is don't mess with what's working,
right?
And what's selling. I mean, we look at those numbers also,
right.
But we also know that our fans, the product fans, want more options and love when new things come out. So what dilution of Bead Maker do you recommend? And the answer to that is, Sydney,
0. 0. You never want to never dilute Bead Maker. Always full strength. If you think about it, Bead Maker makes water bead, right? So if you try to mix it, it's like oil and water. It's not gonna mix, and you're gonna get splotchy results, because when you spray it through a spray bottle, you're gonna have the Bead Maker land here and water land here and Bead Maker land here. It's not gonna work out. So don't do it. Just use it full strength. The only time you do it would be in the bead cannon, and that is a totally different use. Yeah, and it is full strength. It is mixing with water as it goes through the pressure washer, but you turn your water down, right? So that's worth mentioning too. The water's turned
concentrated. The
yeah,
reason why I do that is really because I don't have to get up there and wipe it on. It literally, I can shoot it 10 feet away, and it speeds up the process.
So that's the only exception to the rule, and it's just because it's a completely different delivery system.
Exactly. I mean, even when you use it through an IK, it atomizes in a different way than when you use it from a spray bottle. All we're doing is we're just shooting it at something differently. If you ever have a question about dilution, most of our products have a dilution scale, especially our dressings or like Breakbuster, or some of those have a dilution scale on the bottle. That will say what is dilutable or what's not dilutable. And obviously Bead Maker doesn't have that on. Man, it just started raining really hard. This is really cool.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
I can hear it. That's awesome.
I may have to go close that door. It's getting loud.
Cool. All right. Ivan says, also my car is ceramic coated, but I want to put on Legend. Would I have to compound and polish to remove it, or do you think just polish would be fine? I think one of my first questions would be is how old is the ceramic coating, and possibly what brand. I don't know of too many brands that it's not going to work with, but just my personal experience, I have Inspiration on my car. It's been on there for many years, and Legend went on absolutely fine with just polish. So you're going to do just your general prep polish. If the coating is failing, if there's issues with the coating that are already on the car, you're going to want to totally remove the coating. But generally speaking, if the coating's been on there a while, and again, it's going to depend on what coating, because are we talking, was it a 1-year coating? Was it a 7-year coating? Was it a self-healing coating? I mean, that's all going to factor in, but I think for the most part, just a good polish is going to be fine, unless the coating's failing, or unless it's a really, one of those thick, 7-year coatings or whatnot, then you might want to try to completely remove the coating. But it's just going to depend on what that coating is and how long it's been on there and what condition that coating's in.
Yeah, always polish. I mean, even if you haven't coated the vehicle before, polish. Always at some point, whether you're using something like Envy or Deep Finish or another great polish from other brands, it's best to prep the surface, open up the pores of the paint or the coating that's already there, so that you get great bonding. It'll make the coating last longer. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, and since we're talking about that, we can do Purity Auto says, when do we get Legend in a 50 ml bottle? We haven't talked too much about that, but my guess would be is we may not go down that road, only because Legend is, our premium coating experience. And so there's a whole experience behind there. So the boxes only fit a 30 ml bottle. And so we want to maintain that rather than just, having lone bottles. The other thing that I would see as a challenge with a 50 ml bottle is I use a lot of Legend. And when you're opening that bottle a lot, because of the high solids in there, you start to get a lot of buildup around the top of the bottle. And so that tells me that every time that bottle hits air, it is affecting the product a little bit. And so me personally, I wouldn't want to have a bottle last more than 2 cars, just because of how much it's open to air and the opening and closing of the bottle. So that's just my personal feeling, is that as great as that sounds to have like a huge supply of Legend, I'm not sure that I would want it for more than 2 cars.
This was a discussion when we came out with Legend. Part of that also means larger bottle means larger price.
Yeah.
And so we tried to keep that price at a really, I mean, Legend at $130 is pretty affordable for what it is, for a premium coating compared to others on the market that are, in similar size bottles, or a little bigger, but $200-$300 for a bottle. We try to keep it there. That's why the 30 ml works so well. Soul has been discussed doing a smaller bottle. We haven't decided on anything like that, but it's been discussed. The Legend, that hasn't come up.
And then kind of as a piggyback to that is, Richmond says, do you keep ceramic coatings in the fridge? I see a lot of people doing that. I used to. I used to back in the day, when I wasn't doing them as often. I had a special fridge for all of my touch-up paint and my ceramic coatings. I don't any longer, just because I'm using them up fast enough that I'm not concerned about the, keeping it in a fridge. I think also it would depend on your temperature regulation. How if you're in extreme heat, I would maybe even just keep them inside the house, inside in a cabinet or something. But I think it's just going to depend on your environment.
My garage gets pretty hot. I keep them in my fridge as more of my inventory, like unopened bottles.
Right.
Because it just keeps them fresh. And then I just got to bring them down to room temperature before I use them. But
you just don't want extreme heats and colds. Yeah.
But my everyday coating box, I have like a kind of like a really cheap version of a Pelican case. That's just kept in the garage every day, or it's in my van in the shade when we're going out. Because being mobile, I never know when I'm going to sell coating sometimes. I may show up and upgrade someone, so I have to have it with me. But I have a small amount with me on the road, and then I have a large amount with me in the garage.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see, we've got a lot of questions. Which one are we going to next?
I know. Hold on.
So Purity says it builds up fast. You're right. 2 cars. I agree. Yeah. I'm just going through. Jared says, hello from Indiana. I need help removing spots on my wife's cart. I have wet sanded. What kind of spots are they? Are they from water or something else? So, Kyle, you take that one.
Hello from
India. I do water spots.
I'm not sure if it's water spots or I have wet sanded. So maybe he sanded some spots.
He said yes. So yes, hard water spots, he's saying. So
okay. So hard water spots.
So water spots. So wet sanding is probably the last.
Yeah, that would be if they've completely baked in.
Yeah.
You've already tried to buff. You've already tried all other options before I go to wet sanding. First, I always start with the chemical. He sanded the whole car.
Whole car.
Okay. So
and that didn't. Yeah, and that didn't take them out. It's black. Oh boy. Oh boy.
All right. Well, you're going to want to we have a twisted wool and we have a lamb's wool. You're going to have to go to something like that because you're going to want to dig out your sanding marks. And I'm not, what did you sand it to? What, I hope you say 3000 grit or higher, making it easier for you to get out. And this is a lot of, this can get pretty deep here in this question. We may have to,
Jared, maybe this might be, this might be best for you to send us a message on either Instagram or Facebook, and Kyle can walk you through that whole process, because that's a really long, it's a really long answer that could take a lot of time, and with like, it'd be helpful for us to see pictures. We've both dealt with tons and tons of water spots, but having already sanded it throws a wrench in it. So if you wouldn't mind, just send us a message either on Facebook or Instagram, and send us pictures, and we will try to walk you through it. That would be great.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would love to help you walk it through and kind of find out what you have on hand too.
Yeah.
All right. You said he was from Indiana or India?
I thought Indiana.
Okay. I saw it just when it went away. I wasn't sure.
In Indiana.
Okay. Well, that's good.
All right. And then detailing breakdown. I actually love this question. So when I use BeadMaker, I don't really have any problems, but when the BeadMaker topic comes up in detailing forums, it's 50-50, get it or not get it. It seems to have a lot of controversy. Yeah, it does. And, I think for me, I don't have any problems with it. I absolutely love it. And I have to stay off of those because, like I said, I go mama bear on BeadMaker. So here's what I think, honestly. I think that there is a lot of detailers out there that become very loyal to different products, and that's fine. And I think that what I notice across the board on social media is people just like to argue. And so for the sake of arguing. And so I think also what I've seen is people try to use BeadMaker for things that it's not intended for. They try to say, well, it doesn't last a year. Well, no one ever said it would last a year. It wasn't supposed to be last a year. For me, BeadMaker, I love the experience. Why would I want to wait a year to use it again? I can't even imagine that. So I think that people try to make it what it's not. It's not an SiO2. It's not, it's not a heavy ceramic spray. It's not. And so you can't really put it up against other ceramic sprays. And the dusting issue, I don't have that challenge. I mean,
everything dusts.
Yeah, everything. And that's what I've never understood the dusting issue. Because do I have dust in my car? Yes, absolutely. Is there dust on the car next to me at the parking lot? Same exact dust. And I know their car doesn't have BeadMaker on it. So I think that people just get really fired up, and there's people that love to hate, and there's people that love to build up another product. And I don't know. Social media is funny. People just argue just to argue. So I think you just have to see if it works for you and your environment. And if it does, great. And if not, no big deal. It's fine.
It is what BeadMaker is a it's not a permanent protectant. It has a great smell. It lasts. I've seen it last anywhere between a month on pretty beat up stuff, all the way to 6 months on some really nice stuff that's well taken care of.
Yeah.
So everyone gets tied into how many weeks, how many months, how many washes kind of thing, but every vehicle is different. Everyone takes care of their vehicle differently.
Yep.
The environment is too different. As far as dusting goes, if you rub a car with a dry towel, which has been tested, if you just rub a towel, you will create static electricity and dusting will happen with no protection.
Right.
So this has been tested multiple times. No matter what you use, there's going to be some level of dust, great or small. But if you love it, use it. It is where I see the controversy on social media, and I stay away from it too, is when people try and do some sort of mixology and add BeadMaker on top of this brand's wax and that brand's wax and that brand's graphene. And when you start mixing and matching stuff, no matter what, you're going to have weird reactions,
Yeah.
I kind of think of it like people that go to the soda fountain and mix drinks. It's like, you get what you get, it may taste good, it may not, it may work, or it may not.
Yeah.
So Bead Maker is more of a base product. As far as putting it down, I don't recommend stacking it on top of anything unless it's one of our coatings.
Yeah.
And Bead Maker works great on other coatings as well, but waxes don't play well.
Yeah.
But thank you. That was a great question.
And Anthony had a comment, and I think this is a great comment, is he says, whenever something doesn't work, the product gets blamed and not the user error environment, etc. That's so true.
It happens a lot.
So true.
I just dealt with this with Kyle's Boat and RV Restorer with someone who didn't use it right, who didn't give it a chance and started really knocking on it. And I called the person personally and said, hey, how'd you do it? And first they didn't want to talk about it. Then they opened up and I explained how to use it. And they were like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. I'm like, before we start hating on each other and on products, make sure you're trying it the right way first. Yeah. So that was a great point, Anthony. Yep. What's our next question? Well,
hold on. I'm going to open my garage real quick because my employee is going to be here in just a second. So just ignore me for 1 second.
All right. So this is, this might be never a dumb question, but we've gotten a chance to test out random orbital, is that hoop and loop clay debris removal attachments. Oh, okay. The hook and loop clay, like the clay discs. Do they work good? And the handheld manual. Okay, so talking about the clay discs that you would put on your tool, they work really good. Actually, so good that they may mar paint up sometimes. I just used one the other day on a vehicle. I used the yellow clay disc on a vehicle that had overspray, or actually someone drove through a bunch of road paint, or not road paint. Someone dropped a bucket of paint on the ground and someone drove through it. It ripped that paint off, that overspray. Yeah. But it also left some light marring that I had to go back and polish afterwards. Clay bars, clay mitts, clay discs all have different degrees of cutting, or how hard they are. So I would always do a test spot and start with the lightest and work your way up. I still use clay bars. I believe that they're safer than clay mitts, but you run a risk of wasting a clay bar when an employee drops it on the ground versus a clay mitt. You're not wasting it. So always work your way from most mild approach to the heavy and see what works for you. But yeah, they work really good. Be careful on edges.
Yeah. Yep. I love this next question from Christine Auto Detailing. Can we do that one, Chris? I love this. It says, would love to see a dedicated door jamb detail spray that's IPA based to reduce the double towel wipes. No need for protection or slickness, just some streaking and semi-fast kind of drying like P&S paint prep. So here's the deal. We already have it. It's paint gloss. So paint gloss, you guys, is the best door jamb spray ever. The cleaning ability in paint gloss, because it kind of has that waterless wash technology in it, it makes a great door jamb spray, even dirty ones, because you're going to have that protection, to cut for the lubricity. You're not going to scratch anything. It doesn't have any IPA in it, but it does have that cleaning technology. It's not leaving behind any protection, but it does leave behind a little bit of slickness. It makes them look nice and shiny and, all of that. So honestly, best door jamb spray is paint gloss. If you want something with an IPA, I certainly have also used paint prep, and that is totally fine to use that as well. So I think we already have those. You just have to think about using them for a different unintended purpose. But paint gloss is absolutely my go-to for door jambs. If they're really, really nasty, I use the pressure washer first, or even Epic waterless wash that we have also. I love Epic, but 9 times out of 10, I'm paint gloss all the way. Love it.
I agree. Sometimes the only thing I've really used a cleaner, like I've used EnviroClean, is when I want to get around like the little rubber boots that, you know, the wires are in and they kind of turn brown.
Yeah.
And even then, I literally will rinse that door out with like my pressure washer or even just a spray bottle with water.
Yeah.
And then I'll go paint gloss. Paint glosses have always worked well for me. If you use paint prep, think about it like this. Then you can upsell your customer and say, hey, for a little bit more, I'll go ahead and ceramic coat your door jambs and hinges too. It'll be nice and easy. It'll be easier cleaning. You're not going to get as much dirt and dust in there. And it's already prepped, ready. You just put it on, put Sol on an applicator and go to town in there. I've also used Bead Maker in there too when I didn't want to coat a door jamb.
Yeah. But paint gloss, you guys, is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, so Corey asks, what's the longevity of the PNS paint sealant for the better package before getting to the best package with ceramic? So for the PNS paint sealant, are we talking Bead Maker or are we talking the Ultra Coat sealant?
Yeah. I'm not.
Because that's going to be a different. So Ultra Coat sealant, I'm going to say is what, just a couple months?
I actually thought Ultra Coat sealant,
or would that be more?
That's
would that
like
be higher?
More like a 9-month type of a paint, of a true paint sealant.
Yeah, because it's not a spray on, right?
And
you're going to put it on with a pad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It starts that 32-ounce ball. That could be Bead Maker too, but maybe I'm pretty sure he's talking about Ultra Coat paint sealant.
I think he's talking about Ultra Coat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a true paint sealant that you know, paint sealants that were around back in like the 1990s and early 2000s. It's a true paint sealant. It's not like a spray on. But yeah, I think it has a longevity up to around 9 months, depending. Oh, look, he said 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9
months for Ultra Coat. Yep. So Corey, I honestly, I stick with Bead Maker or then I go to ceramic. I don't have an in between at this point. Once, and if I do, honestly, it's Sol. So I'll do Sol as kind of my in between Bead Maker and a true ceramic. So I think that the Ultra Coat paint sealants are great. I actually did a paint sealant last week on a Mercedes. I used the matte paint sealant, which was awesome. It was a very out of the box process for me. So I'm assuming that probably the Ultra Coat polish is kind of the same way. My only thing with the polish being applied is I'm funny and I won't pull out my polisher unless I'm getting paid for it. So I haven't done that.
Rightfully so.
I do. I have Bead Maker, Sol, ceramic.
So you brought up something funny. So how I think about it too is if I pull my polisher out, I'm getting paid for it. Yeah. Which I'm going to charge probably 2-3 times what I'm going to charge just to put Bead Maker on. And might as well just have a coating done at that point because you're really close to a coating price anyways.
Yeah.
I have people who want me to put a polisher on their vehicle and they want a sealant applied. Old school, that's fine. They're going to pay $400 for it. I have people who want me to use our paste wax on their Harley because they want paste wax. They're going to pay way more for me to sit there and put paste wax on their Harley than it would be for me to put Bead Maker on or even coat it. That's what they want. I'm willing to do it if they're willing to pay for it.
Right.
If they're not willing to pay for it, then they got to get with the program and do the services that I do normally offer. Yeah. So that's up to you, Corey. But that it is a great product. You're going to love it. It's just how much time do you want to put into it? And you're literally just going to put it on with a finishing pad. You're going to do a couple light passes, let it sit for a minute, flash, and then wipe it off. The technology is very similar to a wax. It's just, or the application is very similar to a wax. It just is different.
Yeah. So this next one's for you, Kyle. John King says, thoughts on using Ultra Coat polish to clean, paint prep, and then follow with Bead Maker to seal the paint on a turboprop aircraft?
Yeah. So Ultra Coat polish is great for cleaning. You're right on the money there. It will clean the paint, lift that. Depends. Paint is different on an airplane than it is on a car, but it should lift the dirt and debris that's built up in there. Paint prep would be a great way to prepare it before Bead Maker, but you don't necessarily need to because paint Ultra Coat polish does have protection built in. And I've done it before, and it should play really well with Bead Maker. you could go straight to Bead Maker after Ultra Coat polish. Just make sure you've removed all the Ultra Coat polish residue first, because it does leave behind a little bit. You're gonna have to wipe, maybe have an extra towel, just wipe one extra time. But I don't see a need for removing the protection you've already put in.
Yeah, I think you can skip the paint prep. Yep.
Yeah. So if you were gonna do, if this was a different situation, say you're gonna ceramic coat something on a car, then I'd go to paint prep beforehand. Or if you were just gonna wash the plane and not polish the airplane, I would go to paint prep and then Bead Maker. The reason why is because you want to make sure everything else is removed. You already know the Ultra Coat polish will work with Bead Maker. Hopefully that makes sense. They will play well together.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I've done it.
Yeah. So Rick says, what does your follow-up look like with a client after they've ceramic coated their vehicle, or you have?
My follow-up is in the form of a automated text message, or actually it's an email that lets them know that they're okay to wash their vehicle 7 days later. That also states, if you need any products, contact me and I will get them for you, and like soap and whatever else they may need. And I'm always there to answer questions. Because I'm mobile, I don't have a shop, I don't do the free follow-up wash.
I don't either, yeah.
That some people do. If I had a shop, I would love to do that, because then it gets people back in. But I don't have the ability to run around and wash another car, and I don't even wash cars in the first place. And then it also lets them know that we need to see them in a year or for their maintenance. And that's about it. That's my version of a follow-up with coatings. Other people do it different, but being mobile, I just don't have time for it. But what I do is at the end of the service, before they even get that, it's my goal. It's been my goal all year, and it's been working well, is to schedule them for a year to set their maintenance appointment. Some of people we actually schedule it. Some people want me just to contact them to schedule it. Yeah. So I put that in my calendar.
Yep. And mine's essentially the same. I did have to stop doing the follow-up washes just because I just don't have time. As most of you know, my shop is in my home and I'm fully booked all the time. And it became more of a challenge for me to get them in. And, I was working hours, that I should have been making dinner for my family. I just didn't have time to do washes. And so I eliminated that portion also, but I obviously spend about 20-30 minutes at the end of each coating appointment, going over education and letting them know what they need to do for their first wash. I talk about how that's going to be achieved. Are they going to, go to a hand wash place? Are they going to do it themselves? And we kind of walk through that scenario and see, how that's going to go. And then I'll get them the products. I have a lot that want to do it themselves. And so I'll, direct them for how to get the appropriate products, and then always follow up with the yearly maintenance. And I do let them know, I push the yearly maintenance pretty hard, especially when I know everybody loves to focus on how long is the coating going to last. That is all dependent on the care of the vehicle. And I let them know that. I don't quote our coatings as, a 3-year, 5-year. I keep it vehicle independent on how they're going to care for their car. And so I let them know, here's our goal. We want to make it 3 years on your car. And so to achieve that, I'm going to need you to bring it back to me once a year. We're going to clay, we're going to put Bead Maker. I'm going to go through, we're going to test everything and make sure that it's completely working. And so in some ways I kind of scare them that, that's the only way the coating's going to work, is if they make sure to bring it back. And so, I'd say 95% of mine come back with no problem, meaning they schedule to come back. And so, yeah, I scare them. I do scare. I do scare a lot of
such great words sometimes.
I know.
I was gonna say sometimes
they'll tell you they're scared.
I warn them
they will tell you they're scared. So essentially the same. I just make sure that they come back on their maintenance once a year, clay to remove any fallout, because at that year they're thinking their coating's no longer working, and it is underneath all that contamination in all its glory. You just have to remove the environmental fallout, the contamination, things like that. So just yearly maintenance, and they'll be good to go for years. All right.
Couple good questions.
Yeah.
Last
all
one.
kinds of questions today.
Last question.
Last one. Okay, Alberto. How do I sanitize a car without damaging plastic or leather? I prefer a quick spray down main departments like steering wheel, car seats, etc. How do I tell the customer I got really sick from her car? I'm like 100% it was from them. My van is in the shop.
So that's two questions in this question.
Yeah.
There's more there. Hold on, let me see if I can.
From what I see so far, it's protecting yourself.
Okay, my van was in the shop and she wants me to go clean her interiors and I'm worried. So I think I've never gotten sick from cleaning somebody's vehicle. I think a lot of that's going to come down to your PPE. Make sure you're wearing gloves, wear a mask if you need to, wear goggles. I think that those three things, if you're concerned, are going to eliminate most of what you come into contact with until you've gotten enough cleaner in that car. So generally, viruses and things, once you disturb them on the surface, there's no longer enough active virus to get you sick. So I think you're absolutely, like I have we still have the PNS surface disinfectant. So if I have a car coming in and I feel like possibly they've been sick or something like that, I will pre-spray the car with the disinfectant and let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes. And then that just kind of takes away any fear from my mind. But I think generally speaking, if you're using the proper PPE, there's really probably not a whole lot of threat, because once you get to cleaning that car, you're going to break down that virus load, if there is one, to where it can't, make you sick. So, make sure you're staying up on washing your hands, all that kind of stuff.
Be careful. If you're using them, you got to wear a mask, got to wear the right mask.
Yeah.
Has to filter it. These medical little masks, they don't stop it. If you're using steam and you're steaming someone's steering wheel and the steam hits the steering wheel and comes right back in your face, guess what?
Yeah.
You got it. Steam helps, but we've learned that steam doesn't kill viruses unless you hold it on that area so long that you're going to hurt the surface anyways. So using a cleaner, agitating, will break down the
viral load, basically.
around the virus and kill it. It breaks down that membrane there. So clean that. You just got to do all that and make sure that they understand that it's hard to say, I got sick from your vehicle. I know last year in January, I got sick from a customer, not from their vehicle, because I never got in their vehicle. I did a paint correction on a motorhome and the customer just got over COVID. And 2 days later, I had COVID. So I got sick just being in the same building. None of my guys got sick though, but that's the only contact I had at all, and it sucked, but I got over it. So just be careful. There are surface disinfectants out there. The only places, and I'm not really worried about the plastics as much as leather. Be careful. Alcohol and leather don't work well together. You may just have to use more of a leather cleaner and agitate to break down any bug that may be there.
Yeah. The other thing you can do, and this is a little bit extreme, but I know at the beginning of the pandemic, this is what a lot of us did. If you're really concerned, just let that customer know that you need their vehicle to stay parked and nobody to enter it for several days. And so, there was those first couple of weeks when things were crazy and we didn't understand how things were going. We would ask the customer to bring the car 3 days early and just leave it parked, and nobody entered it, because for the most part, any virus that's out there cannot live more than a few days on a surface. And so if nobody's been in and out of that car, that's really, really reducing by a lot your risk of...
You're quarantining the vehicle to begin. Exactly. But as far as viruses go and other dirt and grime and may hold them. But that's the best practice there, is say, hey, if But here's
just let them know.
It sounds like this car's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Either charging more or just don't do it.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say.
Just don't do it. Be like, I don't want to do your car.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with saying we're just not a good fit, man. Or it's not something I want to do. I don't enjoy doing your vehicle. I've had to do it multiple times. You can fire people. You can fire customers. Yeah. You're okay to do it if you have to.
Yep.
You can be nice.
Yep. Cool. Well, it's 9 o'clock.
Wow.
I know we missed some questions, you guys. Sorry about that.
That turned out
Kyle
really good.
Yeah. So awesome. You guys have an awesome week. And remember, in 2 weeks, we will be in Hayward, California at PNS HQ. And Kyle and I will be doing Bead Maker and Coffee live from there, kicking off Monterey Car Week. So make sure you tune in 2 weeks. And if you have any other questions that we missed during this, please send us a message on Instagram. Both of us see those, and we are happy to help as always. And everybody have an awesome week.
See you later.
See ya.
All right. Bye, guys.